everybody. My name is Wes.
My name is Matt.
And today we are going to be talking about packing out your church this Easter. Now, whether you're a church plant or maybe a new church that's having your first Easter service, or maybe you're celebrating your 100th Easter service, we are going to be talking about some great stuff in here about packing out your church this Easter. But it's not just about packing out your church for just one service. We want to talk about going beyond that.
So we're going to show you some simple and practical ways to do this, and they all cost little to no money. We're really big fans of things that cost little to no money because if I don't know about you, Wes, but I'm poor. So I need some help when it comes to finding solutions and ideas that aren't going to break the bank.
Yeah.
So first off, before we go any further, you'll notice we have the chat open. I'm actually going to be dropping some information and some links into the chat throughout this webinar. So just keep an eye on the chat and make sure that you're clicking on some of those links and heading over to some of those resources. And next also, if you're a ChurchTrac user, Wes has an account pulled up right now. In the top right-hand corner of the screen on your account, no matter what part of your account you're on, there's always this green help button. And Wes is zooming in right now in case you're watching this on a small screen. If you click that green help button, this little drop-down window appears, and at the bottom, there's a Show All Help Topics button that'll take you to our online user guide where we have dozens of articles grouped by all the different features of your ChurchTrac account. You can read up how to use some things, how to set up those features, and how to troubleshoot things. You can also schedule a phone call with our support team from that screen, and then the Ask Us a Question button at the bottom takes you right to where you can create a support ticket within your ChurchTrac account so you can reach out to our support team anytime. Next, I also want to let you know we have a YouTube channel. Some of you will be watching this later on that YouTube channel. Go ahead and subscribe to that channel and watch all the videos we have there. We have over 100 videos you can watch that show you how to utilize all the different aspects of the ChurchTrac account. We also have past webinars on there, like this webinar, where we focus on a particular topic. So go ahead and watch all those. And we also have a user group, a Facebook user group. Wes, tell them about the group.
Oh, man. So if you are on Facebook, this is a group you want to join. It's just such a great place to talk to other church trackers from all around the world. And I see some people here that represented from all across the world here in other countries. So this is awesome. So yeah, jump on into that group and you can ask questions, learn about some tips and tricks that other churches have used, both in ChurchTrac and beyond. So great place to hang out.
All right, Wes, tell them what we're going to talk about for this webinar today.
Woo, man. This is a loaded webinar today. We're going to be talking about connection cards, and then we're going to be talking about before the service, some things that we can do before the service to get ready, some things that we can do during the service.
That's right.
And then we're going to wind things up with after the service and some follow-up and everything after our Easter services. So, is everybody ready? Are you ready?
I'm ready. Are you ready?
I am super excited. Let's do this.
All right, let's go.
All right, so I feel like we can't talk about Easter follow-up and all the things until we talk about Connect cards, because our Connect cards are kind of like the most important way that people connect with us when it comes to coming to our worship services. And so we asked the question when everyone was signing up for this webinar, describe your connection card in 5 words or less. And we got some pretty funny responses. I'll just read out a couple here. So one person said, to the point. Another person said, looks good. Another person said, gets basic info. Another individual said, don't have one. One person said, maybe too much info. And then another person said, great.
Awesome.
So we got some good feedback on there. What we gathered is it seems like there's really no in between. We have people that have great connection cards, and then we have people that either have bad ones or asking too much info, or they don't have one at all.
Yeah. So the connection cards, and this is why we're separating this out even apart from the before the service section of the webinar, because this is almost like if before the service is step 1, Connect cards are step 0.
Yes.
You have to get your Connect cards ready for the big event. Connect cards are the biggest way that we collect data or information from our guests and also our members so we can follow up with them after. So the question I want to ask you right now is, do you have both a physical Connect card and a digital Connect card? The reason we ask this is because when it comes to people filling out these Connect cards, especially for Easter, we have a couple tips we've learned from some ministries that do it well, and also some tips we've learned from our own experience through some trial and error.
Yes.
Just speaking from personal experience there. Step number 1, make your cards visible and make them accessible everywhere.
Yes.
Make sure you have your physical Connect cards, like in the back of the chairs or
You
pews.
have one right there with
that's
you.
right. That's right. Thank you for reminding me. I have it here right in front of me. This is the Connect card we use at my church. My pastor put this together. It's really simple. I mean, the colors are actually the church's colors. He put the hex codes right in when he pulled up this template. And this is a template that I think he created just from Canva. So you can use this same template and find it all for free on canva.com. It asks for some very basic information, just their person's name, their physical address, their email, their cell phone number, and then there's a basic checklist at the bottom asking for a little more information. It's very short, very simple, and to the point. We're actually going to talk about that here in just a minute. But make the card visible. Have it at the welcome area or the foyer of your church. Put it in the backs of the chairs and the pews. And also have pins everywhere so that people can fill out.
Include a pen, because most people don't have pens with them, and so we want to make sure.
And also your digital Connect cards. If you have a digital Connect card, create a QR code for that card and put it on the backs of the chairs, on the bulletins or flyers you hand out, on the screens during the announcements of your service. Paint the church with your physical and digital Connect cards. That's how you make it visible and accessible to everybody.
So I get asked all the time, and I know you get asked this as well.
Yes.
What is the best Connect card? Well, the best Connect card is one that actually gets filled out, because if it doesn't get filled out, it's just not going to work for you.
Yeah.
And one that gets filled out is simple, it is short, and it's relevant. And just to kind of help reinforce that, we have this great article here, and Matt can post that in the chat. Are my Connect cards ready for Easter? And I'll just show that off real fast. But we've got some good content that kind of talks about Easter Connect cards and everything. So I encourage you to check that out. And also look at some of our other articles that we've even talked about, even taking that a step further. So that's definitely, when it comes to what is the best Connect card, keep it short, keep it simple, keep it relevant. And then another thing is kind of setting the stage for our Connect cards. Because people are very protective of their privacy these days.
Yes.
The last thing I want to do, Matt, is give my information to someone and they use that information to bother me, to spam me. And this is especially true in a church setting. And so whenever we're asking people to fill out these connection cards, we definitely want to make it not about us and us trying to have all their information, but about us being able to serve them, serve their family. People are more likely to do that. And I wanted to show off my digital Connect card here real fast. So Matt's going to step away for a quick second, and I'm going to show off mine, just to kind of give you a good idea visually of what this looks like to have a digital connection card that is short, simple, and relevant, but also takes into account the privacy aspect here. So on my connection card, note here that I actually put here in the very top, kind of with the little star, potential church respects your information and privacy. You can opt out of communication at any time. I definitely encourage this on digital Connect cards now, because so many people, the first thing they want to know is, what are you doing with my information? That's a really good way to kind of put some people's mind at ease, but also make it very aware that it's not about us trying to gather all the information. It's about us trying to serve them. And then again, keeping it short, simple, and relevant. I'm asking the person's name. I'm asking an email or phone number. Here, what I would like to do. Do I want to learn more about Christianity? Do I want to become a member? So very quick, to the point. And then also asking something like, how can we pray for you today? And then this last part is, what does the resurrection mean to you? This is so cool, because with the digital connection card, we're able to kind of customize that digital card just for Easter service without having to go through the hassle of like printing out a special connection card that's physical. And so I encourage you, as you go through and look at your digital cards, maybe look for a way that you can make it unique specifically for Easter. And then lastly, you definitely want to test them, because the last thing you want is a connection card that maybe doesn't work right or maybe has misspellings. So I encourage you to create it and then go through and test it, make sure everything looks good. So that is Digital Connect Card, and you can learn more about how to create those on our online user guide. We've got a lot of great information on there, and form cards, and how you can create some connection cards there. All right, so we've got that out of the way. That was like the big thing out of the way. Let's talk about before the service, Matt.
Before the service. So this is what you can do to reach out to your people and to your guests to prepare for, and I guess hype up the Easter service,
hype it
to
up.
encourage and make sure that you pack out your Easter service. So first of all, we're going to talk about texting. Just some quick stats just to sort of convince you why this is important. 97% of all Americans own a texting-capable smartphone. Wes, I think you even have a chart just to illustrate
I have a
this.
chart, yes. So I have this chart here showing both percentage of U.S. adults who say they own a smartphone and a cell phone. And you can see this one right here in the dark purple. I think that's purple, depends on my eyes. 85% of people as of 2021, so just a year ago, said they own a smartphone. And then you have 97% of people own a cell phone in general that is text capable. So this just goes to show that, years ago, people were like, well, not everyone texts and all that. No, not anymore. Everybody texts, and we need to get on board.
Yes, in fact, texting or SMS boasts open rates of as high as 98%. I think within 20 minutes of receiving a text, 98% of all texts are opened.
Yeah.
I think I also read 90% of all texts are opened within the first 3 minutes.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so
Yes.
texting is the fastest way to get information to your members. So if your congregation reflects the general population stats, all or almost all of your members have a smartphone or cell phone that can receive texts, and they open them and check them regularly. So make sure that you're sending and utilizing text messaging to reach out to both your members and your volunteers and also your guests and people that haven't shown up in a while.
Yeah, and just kind of going on the texting train here, sending a mass text to people is a great way to get that awareness out there. And I'm not talking about just like one time, but multiple times. Now, I highly recommend using a mass texting service for this. Obviously, you can get on your phone and you can start typing each person individually. I would not recommend group text on your cell phone because group texts get crazy. But I would recommend using some sort of platform. And we have that all built into ChurchTrac just to kind of quickly show you here. But on my people screen here in ChurchTrac, I can actually send out a mass text message to people very quickly and easily. I just go to that messaging tab, I click the text messaging, and then from here I can dictate who all I want to send this text message to, whether it's everyone or everybody with a specific tag. I'd encourage you to maybe segment some stuff and then just start typing out your message, hello everyone, and then whatever it is you want to send them. And just kind of some ideas here. I just have a couple I'll copy and paste in here just to show you. Because I can't say it and not actually give you some ideas.
Yeah, I know.
So here's one. How about this? I can't believe we're only 10 days away from Easter. Actually, it's 18 today. But as we get closer, I wanted to stop for a moment and reach out. How can I pray for you today? This is so great just because it, number one, kind of builds the hype for Easter, but number two, gets people to try to reply back to us. Another really good one I found is just asking people, hey, it's the pastor. I can't wait to see you this Easter. Have you invited any friends or neighbors to come along with you? Or maybe just saying, hey, Pastor Wes here. Just a reminder, we're having an Easter sunrise service. And just send that out to all of your people, letting them know about those things that are happening. But Matt, it's about more than just sending some blanket mass text.
Oh yeah, mass texts are great because they're a good way to just blanket your members with information. But you can also go personal and personalize things. Reach out to your volunteers and your staff and everyone that's helping you pull off the big event and thank them for serving. And also, reach out to the people that you have contact information for that haven't shown up at your church in a while.
Yeah.
Go reach out to your guests or your former members and invite them back. Let them know that you would love to see them at your church this Easter service.
All right, so that's text. So that's the first thing. Next thing, email. When it comes to letting people know about Easter and everything, email is a great tool. Obviously, it's not as powerful as text when it comes to those open rates that you were talking about earlier, but it's still really effective for getting that message out in another medium. And we actually have email built right into ChurchTrac if you haven't used it yet. And with our new feature, ChurchTrac Mail, it makes sending email so easy. And just to kind of quickly show you, when you go to send out an email to your people, you go to the people screen on ChurchTrac, and then you send out that email, and just whatever it is you want to send them, and then you can go ahead and schedule this stuff out, which is really nice. And so I'd encourage you, maybe tell your people about a special thing that's happening on Easter. Maybe you have an Easter egg hunt. Maybe you're having a potluck after the church service. Whatever it may be, you send that email out to your people and schedule it. And just go ahead and schedule multiple emails throughout the next coming weeks or a few days, and that way people can get these emails regularly and kind of get the hype for Easter. So definitely recommend that. Pro tip, link to your website because you always want to bring people back to your website or some sort of connection card or something if you're trying to do that as well.
Also, another tip is let people know you've emailed them.
Yes, this is a big one.
Yes, because emailing doesn't have quite the same open rate or response rate as texting, but email is a great way to send information and send lots of information to all of your members and your guests. So remind them that you've emailed them right from the pulpit. Let them know, hey, make sure you're checking your emails and your spam folder just to get all the information. Send out texts and also post on social media. Hey, check your emails. We're sending you lots of really good information, some sign-up information or requests to serve, all of that. Just let people know you've emailed them.
All right, Matt. We've talked about text. We've talked about email. Let's talk about social media.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause we
Speaking of
cannot
social
talk
media.
about that.
Yes. This is probably the biggest one besides texting. Social media, whether you're using Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or Twitter, there's a good chance that your church is on one of these platforms or multiple. Make sure to leverage them to hype up your Easter service. Some ideas that you could do is just post like an Easter photo or a photo from your Easter service or your Easter egg hunt last year to announce the upcoming Easter egg hunt and get people excited to participate. You could also maybe post like a video clip of that Easter egg hunt.
Throw it on YouTube.
Yeah, put it up on YouTube, right? Or like that moment when you let all the kids go and start sprinting across the...
Yeah, that would be a good one to get people excited.
Yeah, of course. And if the kids see it, they're going to want to participate because they'll remember how fun that was last year. Post a picture of a beautiful sunrise. Sunrises are always great, but especially for Easter, make sure to put a photo up about your Easter sunrise service. And also add scriptures leading up to the service, maybe some scriptures about the resurrection. Or one thing I saw, this was a really cool idea, and I've loved seeing this anytime a church has done this. They'll post verses and passages that detail Jesus's like arrest and his trial and even his crucifixion, and then invite people to come back to hear the rest of the story for that Easter
So
sunrise
they're telling
service.
the story day by day, like on Instagram, probably the best one for that. Awesome.
Yeah, and then the last post it is an invite to come to church for Easter to hear the rest of the story.
But it's not just about us as a church posting stuff, but we want to encourage our people to post stuff. So whenever we as a church post things, encouraging our people, hey, retweet that thing that we just tweeted out, repost that thing on Instagram, whatever it is, we want to encourage them because it's going to get
the message
seen so much more. And then you'll have people that were kind of thinking, I don't know, maybe I'll go to church this Easter. I didn't go last year. And then they see like the same exact post made by multiple people, all from your church.
Yeah.
It's going to get hype going, and that's going to help out tremendously. An idea, create your own hashtag for this year's Easter service. This increases awareness, but also it just helps in the future, too, when you want to look at all the things that you have posted with that hashtag.
Yeah, hashtag acts as sort of like a folder where all the posts and photos that are shared online can be stored together, so you can go back and find all that information easily. It also, you'd be surprised how much it incentivizes people posting. I see lots of my friends now, when they're getting married, they create a hashtag for their wedding so that people can post and add that hashtag and they can look at all those photos later during the honeymoon. But it incentivizes the guest to post. So go ahead and create a hashtag. It could be something as simple as your church's name and Easter or something like that.
Yeah,
so
don't
church
overthink
name,
it.
hashtag church name Easter 2022. So it can be simple and easy to think of, and then just make sure people know about that hashtag so they can use it when they post.
All right, so we originally said 3 ways to help pack out your church this Easter. We kind of, it's not a lie. We actually have 4 ways. We gave you
got a bonus.
So the bonus is Google Maps. Let's talk about Google Maps, everybody. So Google Maps, I don't think there's anybody watching that's not aware of Google Maps, but if you're not aware of Google Maps, it's the biggest map in the world, and everybody's using it. It is the most popular. In fact, I mean, I have an iPhone. I use Google Maps all the time.
Of course, yeah, because it's the best online map out there.
Yep, and having our church on Google Maps or our lack of having our church on Google Maps does actually affect how people find us, how people perceive us, and I'm going to use this silly thing, but when I was in college, I used this thing called Rate My Professor. Is it still a thing anymore? I don't even know.
I don't know, but I think it is.
Okay. But basically, long story short is I would look at the ratings of my professor just to determine, okay, do I want to take this class with this person because this person has really good ratings and it works better with my schedule? Maybe I'll take that person instead for this class. long story short, it helped me out a lot. And a lot of people use that same mindset when they're looking for a church on Easter. Not necessarily that they're taking every single review they see with a grain of salt and everything, but here's what they're doing. They're getting on their phone or their computer and they're typing up church. And so I'm on Google Maps right now. I'm hitting church. And then that's what they're doing. They're seeing all these churches around here and they're looking at it like, okay, great. And then they'll look on here to the left, or if they're on the app, it'll be down there where they can just start scrolling through all these different churches, and they're looking at the pictures, they're looking at the reviews. And here's the thing, if you don't have a listing in Google Maps, people aren't going to see it. But if you do have a listing, but your listing, you don't have any reviews, you don't have any pictures, maybe you didn't link to your website or something like that, then it's probably not even going to show up on this list. And so I'd encourage you to kind of think through that and take a look at it and see how your church shows up on Google Maps.
Yes, the reason we're showing you this map is because if you notice, Wes just now, he zoomed in and searched that area again, and some new churches popped up.
Yes, a bunch popped up.
Now, the reason why those other churches didn't pop up initially is because Google actually has algorithms at play here as well that prioritize some churches over others. And what they're prioritizing is which churches have a lot of really positive reviews, which churches have an up-to-date phone number posted, and also their website posted. And also, this is like really inside baseball, but if people are pulling up your church or a particular church often and then asking for directions to drive there, Google is like, oh, wow. Google thinks this is a really high priority place. People really want to get there, so we're going to prioritize that with our algorithm and display that church first when people search. So make sure that your Google business listing is up to date, or that you even have one, and then it has all the information relevant to your church. Just some quick questions you can ask yourself. Is your Google business listing current? Do you have any reviews? If you don't have any reviews, Google is going to down prioritize it. Or deprioritize it, I guess is the right word. I'm not here to make up words. Are any of those reviews positive? Ask your members to jump on Google and add some 5-star reviews for your church in the weeks ahead of Easter. And also, if you have any bad reviews, like 1-star reviews, 2-star reviews, go ahead and respond or reply to those reviews. But do it, of course, in love, with a lot of grace, with gentleness. We don't want any harsh replies or anything like that. And make sure that your Google business listing has the right address, a current phone number, a link to your website. Make sure you have also up-to-date photos. You want your guests and your potential visitors to have an idea of what to expect when they arrive.
Yeah, and we have a great article too. If you're a church that has not yet ventured down to creating a Google business listing, then I would recommend you check it out. Matt is throwing it in the chat. But how to put your church on Google Maps, and we walk through the process of what that looks like, how to do it. It's something that you can easily do very quickly today before Easter, so that way your church is on the map. So that's Google Maps. That's the bonus that we wanted to throw in there. All right, so Matt, we talked about Connect cards. We talked about before the service and some things to do. What are some things that we can do during the Easter service?
Yeah, this is something that we really wanted to emphasize because doing stuff before the service and also after the service to follow up, those things are pretty intuitive, but there are some things you can do literally during the big day with texting and social media and things like that, and we want to cover that. So first of all, texting. Encourage people to text your church if they want to talk to somebody or maybe submit a prayer request or their contact information. And if you have the ability, if your messaging platform gives you the ability to set up auto replies like ChurchTrac does, you can create an auto reply for people to maybe text new or guest to your church, and they'll get an auto reply back with a link to your Connect card, your digital Connect card, so that you can guarantee you get as many guests' contact info as possible on the big day so that you can follow up with them later.
And you can basically create an auto reply for anything here in ChurchTrac, which is so handy.
Yeah, we just launched an integration with Twilio, which gives you even more tools at your fingertips to message your people, including auto replies. You can have all of this set up ahead of time. So if someone texts, like I mentioned, guest or new to your church, they can get an auto reply back where you can link to your Connect card, that's what we recommend, or any other resource you think is best to give them.
Yeah, so that's text. Email, does your church have an email newsletter by chance? Maybe you have a prayer request list or something that you're sending out to people. One thing I'd recommend is just having maybe at a welcome booth or just make mention that, hey, if you want to learn more about what's going on in our church and everything, and if you're not subscribed to our newsletter, go ahead and subscribe to that. And another thing too is maybe mentioning, as a pastor, mentioning your email address at some point in a church service or having it on slides beforehand, just encouraging people that, hey, you can actually send me an email if you have any questions after the service, or maybe you want to learn more about something, you could always go to our staff page and email one of us directly. Maybe someone's trying to learn more about children's ministry to get plugged in.
Right.
Whatever it may be, you can encourage that.
And even use it as an opportunity to build an immediate connection with a guest or even a member by saying, hey, you can email me your prayer request directly, and I'll make sure to pray over it after the service. Next up is also social media. So we've covered text, email, and now social media. During service, have an area designated for taking Easter photos. Have like a photo booth. I think Wes even has an example here of a photo booth that a church created. This is a really nice photo booth with a really big floral cross behind them. You can make your photo booth as nice and as big and extravagant or as simple and understated as you want, or whatever your budget allows. Whatever you can do or whatever you want to do, just do it. It's fine. People love having an area to take photos. It's a day where everyone comes up dressed up really nice.
Yeah.
So parents and children are all together looking great. Parents will love the opportunity to have a family photo, and they'll be very incentivized to share that on social media. And if you have that hashtag ready to go, they'll put that hashtag there, and you can find those Easter photos after the fact. And also, again, incentivizes them to share that information on social media and talk about your church.
All right. So we've talked about before. We talked about during. Let's talk about after the service, Matt.
Yes, after. So this is the real reason we're doing this webinar, to be frank. Because honestly, Easter is a really big event, and it's the biggest attendance event, or either the biggest or second, behind Christmas.
Yeah.
One of the biggest attendance events of your year at your church. But the point of Easter is to share the good news and hopefully establish a connection with your guests so that this isn't just an event they attend, but it's the first step they take on a longer discipleship journey. So we want to follow up with these people and connect with them and bring them into the fold. Again, we're going to talk about texting. A few hours, or at least the next day, within the first 24 hours.
Within
really.
24 hours.
Immediately follow up with guests with a personalized text message. I'm emphasizing personalized because even though you probably have some sort of mass text tool available to you, don't mass text those guests because it comes across as disingenuous and not really authentic. Reach out to them personally, thank them for coming, invite them back next week.
Yeah, and you can actually send out those personalized texts with ChurchTrac. And so if you have a specific person you want to text, you can click that messaging icon in their profile and then send them a text message, which is really handy. But also, you can see the replies, because at the end of the day, it's one thing to text people. We actually need to be replying to them when they text back to us. And so you can actually view those replies in ChurchTrac. And so when someone says, hey, can you pray for me? Then you can text back and say, yes, I'm praying for you right now.
Perfect.
And it's all done right within the software, which makes life
And Wes,
easy.
go back to that people screen and show them that text icon one more time.
Yes, so that text icon right there on a person's profile.
Yeah, so you can pull up that person's messages right from their profile or manage all the texts right there from that main dashboard on that messages tab.
Yes, and another kind of neat little thing we have built in too is if you have like a certain people you want to quickly text real fast, I can like check off people on the people screen, and then I can click this send SMS real fast and then type out a message to send it to them real quick. And so that's built into the software. You need to be using the Twilio integration to have access to these great features, by the way.
Yep, and you can do all the same with not just texting, but also email, right, Wes?
Yes, so sending out emails to people. I definitely encourage sending out mass emails to people after the Easter service with some sort of like call to action, just because you want people to respond to you. One thing that I really like is being able to send out an email here and then actually having it personalize the first name. So if you use that little bracket and say, hi, first name, it'll automatically put in that person's first name.
Yeah, so mass emails, can be personalized in that way.
Yeah, you can personalize that email.
Perfect.
And then the reply to feature is super handy because I can actually designate a specific person I want those replies to get routed to. So maybe I send out the mass email to everybody, but I want all the replies to come back to Matt because he's handling my inbox. I can do that. Or I can say John gets them, whoever. And you can also, whenever you're going through creating these emails, just know that we have made email very simple with ChurchTrac Mail. It's our zero configuration email tool that's built right in just a couple clicks. You can start sending mass emails today with that.
And an idea that you can use or that you can send out to your members when it comes to email, you can segment emails. Even though you're sending mass emails, you can segment emails to send to your members and share maybe a stat about how many people came and attended that day, just so everyone can celebrate the big day and basically use that as a praise report. You can also send a mass email out to all of your volunteers, thanking them for serving and helping pull off the big day. And then also send another mass email to all of your guests, thanking them for coming and inviting them back next week.
And one thing we also have that's built into ChurchTrac, in case you didn't know, we have a MailChimp integration, and that's right there in the email tool. And so you can actually link your MailChimp to ChurchTrac. So if you are already using MailChimp, this just makes life a lot easier because now you're not having to keep track of two different databases of email addresses. That gets really confusing really fast. Where you're like, do I have all the emails in MailChimp that I have in ChurchTrac? Well, you can easily with this integration. That way you can actually just export it to MailChimp and then you're done. And then you can continue to use MailChimp to send out your newsletters and things like that if that's how you're emailing. And so I always like to point that out.
And then after the service, make sure you're using social media. Post a picture of everybody in the worship service. Everybody standing up, singing, or enjoying themselves, or milling about in the foyer and taking pictures in the photo booth. Share all that information in the hours and days following Easter. That way, especially if you're promoting your social media accounts during the service and inviting guests to subscribe or follow your church on those platforms, you'll continue to connect with them throughout the week because they'll be seeing your content long after they leave the church, and you'll still be on their mind even after they're gone, and maybe increase the likelihood that they'll come back next week.
Yeah. And don't forget to link back to your Connect card or to your website every time you do a social media post. Because at the end of the day, we want to be able to communicate with people, even if it's maybe putting your church's phone number and saying, hey, if you have a prayer request, text this number, whatever it may be, so we can connect with people. So we've covered a lot, Matt. I mean, I feel like we just flew through all the things that we can do before, during, and after the service and covered some cool stuff.
Don't worry, if you feel like you've been drinking from a fire hose, this webinar will be up on Vimeo and YouTube in just a few days. So if you need to review anything, just check back in later this week or early next week and you'll be able to watch this again.
So we've only scratched the surface with church communication when it comes to Easter and doing all the things. To sum it all up, Matt, how would you put this?
Well, first of all, make sure you have an awesome connection card. Make sure it is short, simple, and relevant. It respects their privacy and also is both physical and digital. So make sure it's all ready to go before Easter. Use texting, email, and social media. Leverage these tools to promote the service ahead of time, to engage with them during the service, and also continue to connect with them afterwards so that you can be intentional with those tools. And above all, pray. All these tools and ideas are great. They're wonderful. These are blessings to the church and to the advancement of God's kingdom. But we can never lose sight of the heart of Easter and the message of the gospel, even as we're getting into the nitty-gritty of planning out and following up with Easter.
Well said. Well, here's what we're going to do. We want to take time to answer questions live on air because we know there's probably some questions about digital connect cards or texting or whatever it may be when it comes to reaching out to people and packing out our churches this Easter. So we are going to enable our Q&A mode. And so what this means is that you can actually submit a question here to us live, and we will try to answer every question that we can possibly answer right here, right now. And while you're thinking through your questions, I just want to encourage you, if you ever want to watch either this webinar or previous ones, check out our YouTube channel. That's where we list all of those. And again, Matt, that Facebook group, that is just such a great place for ChurchTrac users.
Yes. If you're even on your free trial or if you're a longtime user, go to facebook.com, go to the ChurchTrac users group and request to join. We would love to see you there. There are thousands of users there that are in love with Jesus and love doing ministry so much that if you have a question, they would love to help you out. So go ahead and join that group.
All right. Well, Matt, start feeding me some questions because I can already see them pouring in.
All right. We've already got a few. Kimberly Kia, would you actually? I'm gonna put this up. I'm sorry, I don't need to just read it out.
Yeah, put it on the big screen.
would you mind diving into creating a card?
Okay, and I'm assuming Kimberly is talking about creating a digital card.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about it. So if you didn't already know this, Church Connect, it is the website, it is the app, it is the member portal. It's all these things wrapped up into one for your church, and it's included with ChurchTrac. And part of that means is you can actually create form cards within Church Connect, and a connection card is a type of form card. And so right here, you can see that Connect With Us card that I've created. And the process of doing this, I'm going to try to make this very simple and sweet to the point, is first you want to create a new card here. And then from here, you want to name your card. So I'm going to call this our new connection card. And then the type of card. And we have a lot of different types of cards. I don't have time to jump into all of them, but the form card is the card that you're going to want to select. So I create a form card. I click Add This Card. And then from here, I can start customizing this card because Church Connect, it's made up of different cards, and this just so happens to be our connection card we want to make. And so when you go to edit the card, the first thing you can do is you can actually edit the looks of the card and everything. I definitely encourage dragging and dropping your own image on there. But for the time being, I can just put a quick title and say New Connect Card. Mm-hmm. It's not going to look cool or anything, but at least we'll have it there. And then from here, I can preview that card if I'd like to. And you can see it just says New Connect, so there's nothing fancy there. But from here, I want to go ahead and I actually want to build out my connection card. And so to do that, you'll go to Edit Form Fields. This is where you can actually build out those questions that we want to ask people in our connection card. And so the first one, what do you think the first one is I'm going to ask here, Matt, for this?
Name.
Yes, name. So I want to know a person's name. Now, you can keep it very simple and just say name. You can say first name, last name. It really just comes down to what you're trying to accomplish here. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to ask for name and keep it simple. Make it a small text box. Notice that there are a lot of different field selection types and everything. Date, selection list. You can create those. All right, so small text box. Add it. I can require it. I can have it display whether or not someone's logged into Church Connect. I'm just going to say yes and always for that. And then add another field. And then from here, I can say contact info. And then I'll just put here, this is another small text box. And then I want to have an additional text. And I can say cell or email. And so what's so cool about this is that way it gives people the option to give the type of connection method that they would like to provide. And then from here, I can just continue to build this out. Mm-hmm. And then once you have it all built out, you're ready to go because if I go to my connection page here, I'll just pull it up on a desktop so everybody can see it. But here's that new Connect card that I just created. And right now it only has 2 fields, but you get the gist of how to quickly build that in ChurchTrac. And here's what's so cool is when people go ahead, they fill out these forms, I can have these forms automatically be sent to a specific ChurchTrac user. So in this connection card, I actually have notify, and then it notifies me, or I can select somebody else if I'd like. And then on top of that, I can go to view form responses here in the bottom right at any time and see form responses for any form card that anybody fills out here. And so if you have not yet already created your digital connection card for your church, you can do that today with ChurchTrac, and it will make your life so easy when it comes to getting people's information during that Easter service and beyond.
Now, Archer Church of the Nazarene is asking, I am trying out your service and would like to know what the average cost for the texts are through Twilio.
Yeah. So per text with Twilio, it's 0.0. I got to do my math right here. It's 3/4 of a penny is the cost for it.
What would that be? 0.0075?
I think so. It's too early for me to do math.
Drink your water. Drink some coffee later.
Yeah. So it's less than a penny per text message sent or received, and then the cost of your phone number is $2 per month to purchase your phone number through Twilio. This is, and we don't say things unless we mean it. This is the most cost-effective way for churches to text their people using ChurchTrac with our Twilio integration. A lot of times we see churches using different services, and they're paying anywhere from $50 a month to $100 a month or even more. And when they switch to ChurchTrac using the text with Twilio feature that we have, they're oftentimes spending about 1/5 of what they were spending prior. So it's a really great tool built in. And if you want to learn more about it, we have some previous webinars. We walk through some of that too.
Now, Lady LaFay63 is asking, how exactly may I send out a mass email?
So when you send out mass email in ChurchTrac, you go to your people screen. And then from here, you can go to the messaging tab. And the messaging tab is where email, voice messaging, text messaging, form letters, MailChimp, all that lives here. And so then I select email. And now you'll want to go ahead and configure your email ahead of time. So whether you're wanting to use ChurchTrac Mail or you're configuring it to work with Amazon or Google, however you're doing your email, you'll need to configure that first. Check out our online user guide that shows how to do that. But once you have your email configured, I recommend ChurchTrac Mail just because in 2 clicks it's ready to send and it sends through ChurchTrac servers to your people, but your church still is displayed. And then you can go ahead, type out your email from that email tab there. You select who you want it to go to. Maybe it's members, guests, whoever it may be. And then you just type it out, and then you can send yourself a test. You can send that email now. You can schedule it out, and you're ready to go. So that's how you send out email, the quick way. But we have webinars that walk through that, and you can check out the online user guide that goes into more detail.
Rod Brown asks, when somebody completes a Connect card, does that autofill the fields under people and families? And the answer is no. And the reason why is because the price of your subscription is based on how many people you have in that people screen. And so if you want to add more people, it's going to push you into a higher price tier. So instead of adding it straight into the people family screen, what you can do is, Wes, go ahead and go to that settings, go to the settings screen.
Yeah.
Go to the Church Connect, and then click on that Connect card, that Connect with Us card right there.
Yeah.
You can scroll down and indicate which user, it's under that notify user section. You can indicate which ChurchTrac user gets an email notification when somebody fills out that form. That way that person can take a look at all that information and start adding it to the people family screen from there.
Now, one thing people can do is they can register for Church Connect, which is more so geared towards your members, where they register for Church Connect, and then whenever you log into ChurchTrac as a leader, it'll automatically match them up, or you can match them up manually directly to the system. But that's more member specific, not as much guest specific.
Danita Harris is asking, can ChurchTrac be used with a QR code for a digital Connect card?
Yes. So we actually provide you with a QR code, Danita. So if you go to your settings on Church Connect and pull up all your options there, we have this QR code we provide. And in fact, if you feel like looking at our Church Connect right now on your own cell phone, I'll just pull it up there so you can scan it with your cell phone camera and check it out. But yeah, that QR code, you actually click that download button right here, and you download that QR code to your computer, which then you can put on anywhere, whether it's your bulletin at church, maybe you want to put it on a t-shirt, throw it on the projector screen, put it on the back of the chairs or the pews, wherever it is. We make it really easy to download that QR code, and that takes people right to your church's Church Connect, which then they can go ahead and click that Connect card, or any sort of Connect card for that matter that you're wanting to direct them to.
Last question, or at least you still have an opportunity to submit some questions, but the last question we got queued up is, can a digital card be printed? And the answer is, from Church Connect, no, you can't print out those form cards. But if you're using any other platform, like maybe a Google Forms card, I'm pretty sure you can at least download that as a PDF, or maybe export it to a spreadsheet and print that out that way. So your other platforms that you're using for a form card, you could probably print that out there.
Well, I mean, you can. If you were to take a screenshot of your Church Connect, I mean, you could print it out easily.
I see.
But here's what I'm going to counter with. You can make a Connect card that looks so much better by using a free tool like Canva or Pixlr or something like that to quickly make one. It would just look so much better to actually make one with a platform like that instead of just taking a screenshot of a digital Connect card. So trust me in that. But reach out to us if you need any help with that. That's what we're here for. We're not here just about ChurchTrac. We're here just to help ministries simplify what they're doing and also save them money. And so if we can help you simplify that and save you money, that's what we're here for.
All right, so that's it. We're going to go ahead and close the Q&A. Thank you very much for joining us. We really enjoyed doing this webinar and talking about packing out your Easter service, because we love church. I mean, we're all part of churches. We love church so much that we want to help you all get more people into your pews so they can hear the good news and hopefully start a long discipleship journey with your church.
Till next time. See ya.